Welcome back to the Den of Nerds, and oh baby, do we have a good show for you today. Incredible show, unbelievable show. Today, we must discuss Captain America, Brave New World. The second weekend box office is here. It dropped down. We're going to talk about it. Is it a flop? Should Marvel be worried? What's going to happen to Sam Wilson as Captain America? We'll break it all down for you today. I also want to go over Hideo Kojima's comments about the movie because, look, Hideo's awesome, and his comments about this movie went viral. And frankly, it really showed that some people don't know who Hideo is. And frankly, the Marvel fandom had a pretty cringe reaction to what he said. And so I want to break that down because he's right, and I think Marvel fans need to accept it and understand what's going on with like normal people that aren't like super big nerds like us. So we're going to break down Captain America Brave New World, box office, drop off, Hideo Kojima's fucking comments. Then we actually have some good news, something that's kind of cool. I want to talk about what the Sentry creator, Paul Jenkins, I want to talk about what he said about Marvel, his relationship with Marvel Studios, the fact that he helped on the Thunderbolts movie a little bit, and the fact that if there's going to be a Thunderbolts movie, comic book writer Paul Jenkins will have first shot at making a script for that movie. That's fascinating. It's also interesting because we've had a lot of other conversations recently, you know, about Marvel and their beef with Rob Liefeld and certain creators, and a lot of concern as far as how does Marvel Studios actually treat their comic book creators. So it's interesting to get a story like this with Paul and then juxtapose that against what's going on with Rob Liefeld. So I want to get into that, dig in a little bit deeper. Maybe it's not what it seems. I wish we had more information about what actually happens behind the scenes, but I wanted to take some time and go over that today. I also want to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, a big old Spider-Man story / Spider-Man rumor. On Friday's show, we discussed the fact that there's a lot of rumors out there about Spider-Man 4, and one of the most recent ones was that the movie's going to have a big tonal shift, something comparative to what happened with Thor Ragnarok. And so we talked about this a little bit on Friday. We were trying to figure it out, like, what could this mean? What could this actually be? Well, an insider has spoken out, kind of a new insider, too, so it's kind of interesting. We'll get in there and see what's the deal with this person. But they have given us an idea of what to expect with that, and it's incredible. So I'm really excited, and we will talk about that. We've got some other smaller stories as well. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good week, man. I am excited. I want to say shout out to everybody that's watching on Twitch and on YouTube Live. Really appreciate it. We, of course, also have this show up on podcast feeds. I did want to say, too, if you're listening on the podcast feed, we actually do have a video version of this podcast, which goes up on Spotify during the day. So if you're ever listening to the podcast and you're like, man, I wish I could see like what they were talking about right now, you might want to check out the podcast on Spotify. There should be a video version of it that's uploaded every single day. Then, oh God. As far as show notes for the rest of the week, ladies and gentlemen, couple of different things going on. Wednesday, we will be doing another deep dive for the Nerdvenger stream. So if you're a Nerdvenger member over here on Twitch or on YouTube, come on by Wednesday night. We're going to be talking about the Sentry. I want to deep dive in the Sentry. It's kind of cool, right? Like, we're about to break down some Sentry stuff. Sentry's about to be coming out in the old Marvel movies. So we're going to deep dive on the Sentry, his origin story. We'll watch some videos together, break it down, get real educated about the Sentry. That'll be this Wednesday evening. At some point this week, I do want to do a deep dive, or rather, I want to do a deep dive on the Daredevil show. So one of these streams this week, I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe we'll do it later on in the week, depending on how the news drops. But at some point, I do want to sort of take a whole stream, or at least a large portion of one of these shows, where we break down Daredevil Born Again. It is about a week away. So starting tomorrow, it's a week away. Daredevil Born Again will drop Tuesday evening, and we will be doing a watch party for that. So I'm going to try to put this on people's radar. We will be doing watch parties for Daredevil Born Again and they're going to begin next week. We'll probably start the stream between 8 and 8:30, and we'll get together, we'll get excited, we'll get hyped up, and then we'll watch the 2-episode premiere together, and then we'll do like a live breakdown, kind of, break down some stuff, look at it shot by shot, have a discussion. It's going to be really cool. So it's crazy how close that is, right? Like, that's about a week away. So I think at some point this week, we got to break down some Daredevil Born Again stuff. And, I think that's pretty much everything you can expect this week as far as show notes are concerned. And so let's just get into the news. We will, of course, break into Q&A later as well. So later on in the stream, we'll get into Q&A. I'm excited to get into that and see what everybody has to say about all of these different topics and subjects. It's a strange time right now for Marvel, for fandom, etc. And I think as we get into these different stories here, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how are you guys feeling about Marvel overall. I've seen a lot of conversation, a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of people saying it's Joe-over, and even within the article we're about to break down, there's a section in the Deadline article where a literal insider down here says, this is the new normal for Marvel movies, which I think is, well, scary as hell. So we'll get into that. So what happened with Captain America Brave New World? Let's begin. Here we're looking at a tweet from Variety. It says here, after a strong $100 million start, Disney and Marvel's Captain America Brave New World crumbled by 68% with a $28.3 million take in its second weekend. I'll read the first part of the paragraph here, and then we'll get in, or rather, of the article on Variety, and then we'll break down the details here, okay? So it says here, Captain America Brave New World is losing momentum at the box office, even during a muted winter weekend with hardly any competition. Ouch. Tough opening paragraph. After a strong $100 million start over the extended President's Day holiday frame, Disney and Marvel's Captain America Brave New World crumbled by 68% in its second weekend with $28.3 million from just over 4,100 North American theaters. The Anthony Mackie-led superhero adventure, which remained in first place on the box office charts, has generated $141 million domestically and $289.4 worldwide to date. Captain America cost north of $180 million before marketing, making the production budget slightly less expensive than other Marvel tentpoles. It's not uncommon for comic book tentpoles on the scale of Captain America to significantly slide in subsequent weeks, yet this film, saddled with negative reviews and poor word of mouth, fell on the steeper side with a drop close to 2023's Ant-Man Wasp and the Quantumania, which was a 70% drop after a $106 million debut. Guardians Volume 3 down 47% after a $118 million debut. That was because they had incredible word of mouth. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness also saw similar declines of 67% in the respective sophomore outings, but that was a movie that almost made $1 billion, and so it started way, way higher. Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania, or Ant-Man 3, became one of Marvel's movies that failed to cross the $500 million mark and didn't even break even, and it's kind of on par with that. So here's a comment here by a senior ComScore analyst, Paul Durgardian. Paul with the crazy name says, this is the new normal for Marvel movies. There's still no denying these movies have appeal, and Captain America Brave New World will likely three-peat at the box office, but the second weekend drop of 68% reflects less audience enthusiasm than you'd expect from Marvel. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of what is going on. So after a $100 million start, Brave New World crumbles 68%. It didn't even make $30 million in its second weekend. I think that's kind of tough. We spoke last week about a couple of the projections saying that it would get over 30, and so it underperformed to those projections. 68% also makes it the third worst drop in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's not something they put in the beginning of that Variety article, but that is absolutely true. Third worst drop-off in history. The first belongs to the Marvels, which I think was at a 78%, damn near 80% drop-off from weekend 1 to weekend 2. Then you have Quantumania, which was at a 70% drop-off Then you have this movie at 68%. And I believe Multiverse of Madness is up there, too, with like that 67. And then you begin to get into sort of more normal territory between the low 60s and into the 50s as far as a drop-off. Remember, the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie had a 47% drop-off. Now, when we saw that 47%, holy, like a lot of us sighed relief. That's crazy. That was very, very good for the movie. And that movie opened low and was able to have legs and get up to 850 million worldwide, I believe, pretty close to that. So that was a success. So, look, I guess it would depend on your perspective here, but I think you can really only say not that bad at the most optimistic version of this, and absolutely terrible, exactly what we thought was going to happen as far as the worst version of this. The discourse around this movie's wild. You know, I see a lot of copium. I see a lot of people trying to act like it's not bad or it's not that bad, et cetera, et cetera. I just think that's wild given the context, right? Like, if you take a step back and realize what this movie could have been and what we could be talking about, I think it's a damn shame that it's performing the way that it is, and we're having the conversations that we are currently having. Again, I just don't think that you can be optimistic about the third worst drop-off in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with this movie, which seems like it doesn't have a lot of competition. And it was a big deal for Marvel. You know, they're saying it only cost $180 million. They're saying they only shot 22 days of reshoots, which were separated by like a 9-month strike or something like that. There's all these claims with this movie. And I just feel like I've been gaslit to death as far as how this is actually performing. And I think it's really bad. You know, frankly, I think this is pretty bad. It's not the end of Marvel. I don't think that it suggests some of the things that a lot of people are saying it suggests, but I'm also just kind of frustrated by, I guess, like the counter narrative, which is that this isn't that bad, it's all good, and it's whatever. Now, as far as the counter narrative is concerned, this thing might get to its 425. That's a number that we've been talking about for weeks, right? It's the make-believe number that once this movie crosses, it is profitable or it doesn't lose any money. And so I think from Disney's perspective, I think from Marvel's perspective, they're badly trying to get to that 425. They have used a lot of shenanigans to try to get that 425 number out there to suggest to us that if it gets there, it is some kind of metric of success. And I think it might still get there. I guess my question is, though, if it doesn't get there, are we all just going to throw our hands up and realize that this is a big failure or what? Like, you know, is that how this works now? Because I don't think this is good. And I'm pretty concerned, ladies and gentlemen, by this line here, right? Where if you look at this Variety article, the new normal for Marvel movies, says senior ComScore analyst Paul, crazy last name. There's no denying these movies have appeal, and it will likely three-peat, but a 68% reflects less audience enthusiasm than you would expect from Marvel. Is this the new normal for Marvel Studios, guys? That's a really, really important question. So I want to put that out there to you in the chat, or if you're listening to this on the podcast and whatnot, or you're watching on the replay. Is this the new normal for Marvel? And I think if you were to say yes to that question, right, because I kind of want to go somewhere with this. If you were to say yes to that, you would have to have reasons why. And maybe it's comic book movie fatigue. Maybe it's the fact that the brand went way too crazy with Disney Plus content. Maybe they just lost their touch, you know? And you've probably seen a lot of these theories. It's the craziest part of Captain America Brave New World is that it made everybody forget about Deadpool and Wolverine and all the success of last year and all the craziness, right? I mean, the movie, like, you have to admit that is something that happened. This movie came out and it's performing the way that it is. The narratives are what they are. And it has essentially kicked everybody back into it's Jover, it's so over territory. You have people making videos and posting publicly about all the reasons that Marvel has failed or they are now failing. It's, you know, it's cooked, et cetera, right? And so if you believe that this is the new normal, it essentially comes down to one line of thinking. You have to believe that all of the things that make this movie what it is are still going to exist the next time, and that this is actually a representation of what Marvel can now cook and what they can now offer to the fans. Okay? And by the way, I don't blame anybody for feeling that way. Especially if you're a more casual audience member, how could you not feel that way? You know, between a lot of the mid that came out in Phase 4 and Phase 5, Sony certainly didn't help the situation, creating a whole universe of mid that exists very close to the Marvel movies. How could you not feel that way? But I think this is where I want to draw the distinction. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we can draw this distinction. It's also a little frustrating for me as a fan because Marvel has allowed this to happen. But basically, if you don't think that this is the new norm for Marvel, then you have to believe that this movie actually does not represent what Marvel is going to cook, what they can cook, and what their offerings will be as far as movies from here on out. And this is where this kind of gets awkward, because that is absolutely what I believe. In fact, I said going into this movie, this is probably going to be the lowest point of the year. Very likely, we just have to get past this movie and the discourse about it to get into Thunderbolts, to get into Fantastic Four, to get into stuff that's really exciting. The news cycle around Doomsday, Secret Wars, etc., Spider-Man 4, all the stuff that's awesome. And a lot of that awesome stuff we are going to talk about in today's show. But, like, do you see the problem here? Do you see the distance? It's easy for us as more hardcore Marvel fans to disregard this movie as like, yeah, this was just one that they didn't nail. They couldn't ever really figure out. They spent a lot of time trying to fix, and it just never got there. It's a product of old Phase 4 thinking. It's a product of what was happening in, you know, sort of the executive side of Marvel Studios during Phase 4 and Phase 5. It's a half-baked, mismanaged project with a guy that kind of lacks charisma as Captain America. And we can kind of separate this movie from the rest of the Marvel catalog, right? So in my opinion, you know, if you're asking me, and I'd love to know what you guys think, of course, as well, I don't think this is the new norm for Marvel. I think Marvel can get its sea legs back. I think Marvel can get back to winning and crushing. But it obviously is not going to happen with Captain America, Brave New World. Like this is not it. And it has created a whole horrible news cycle. And I think it's reinforced some negative narratives about Marvel that are out there. And it's almost like I feel like Marvel would have been better off, dare I say it, in never releasing this movie. Or, you know, releasing this movie maybe last year before Deadpool or something like that. It's just like they've made it an awkward spot for fans to try to get excited about everything else that's coming and get excited about Marvel in general when you kind of have to go through this and the experience of covering it and talking about it out there. And I mean, there's an aspect here too. You know, I want to touch on Hideo Kojima's comments about the movie because they went viral, and he was basically saying, like, I vaguely remember Sam getting the shield. When did he officially become Captain America? And he's like, was it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? And look, I think I want to dig more into Hideo's comments, why people even like his perspective, because, like, dude, a bunch of Marvel fans saw this. They saw that it went viral because a bunch of gamers love Hideo, and they love listening to his takes on movies and pop culture in general. And then a bunch of Marvel fans got, like, butthurt about this. A lot of them don't even know how to pronounce his name properly. And they're all butthurt because he doesn't watch Disney Plus shows. But the man is telling you in real time what it's like for, like, a regular fucking person that's not a super sweaty Marvel hardcore person. Brother, nobody's watching these Disney Plus shows. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, nobody's watching these Disney Plus shows. I think the Disney Plus shows actually represent a huge problem for Marvel Studios. I think they watered down the brand. I think they fatigued the audience. I don't think that maybe just Loki and WandaVision. Other than that, all of them are pretty much useless in my opinion. Like straight up useless, and they've actually hurt the brand. And like Hideo represents just a regular ass dude who's also nerdy. Like he knows who these characters are. He's opened up comic books before. He's played all kinds of games and everything like that. So it's just wild to watch like Hideo's comments come out and a bunch of Marvel fans be like, oh, bro, what? You don't watch Disney Plus shows and then complain about the movies? What the fuck? Like, bro, that's the wrong attitude to have. The attitude should be more like, damn, even Kojima's like checked out on this shit. He can't really enjoy Brave New World. Maybe we should think about that. Maybe we should think about what that means and look at the audience scores and be like, I think there could be something going on there. So overall, it's a very bad weekend drop. No way around it. Really bad. Could get worse. Could get worse. I could see this movie barely getting a 4 in front of it. I could see this movie coming up short to getting that 4. I certainly don't think this movie is getting to the $500 million mark. And that's bad. The question you have to ask yourself is, does this represent the new normal for Marvel? And if you believe that, then you have to believe that this is like a representation of what they're doing, what they can offer, and what they're going to be making. Or do you not think it's represent of what they can offer and what they're going to make? Is this the new normal for Marvel? Now, there's another aspect to this story that I wanted to bring up, okay? And I've seen this, I saw this on Grace Randolph's Movie Math. I saw some other people bringing this up with regards to like Superman versus Fantastic Four. There's a company called Quorum, and they do like analytics and whatnot, right? And Quorum has some kind of statistic out there about the interest in movies and also like whether people will go to the theaters for movies or wait for streaming, et cetera, et cetera. And as far as I can tell from what I looked into, there's some data suggesting that the Marvel movies, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, the Marvel movies that are still going to come out this year, are actually tracking way low with some of that data. People are less interested in them and people are willing to wait for streaming. Definitely different than Superman. Superman appears to be killing it. I think it was like number 1 on that chart. People really want to go see Superman. They're really interested in it, which sucks for me because I made a $500 bet with Brandon Davis that Fantastic Four would make more money than Superman in the box office. Son of a bitch! Might lose that bet. But here's the thing. Within the context of what we're talking about right now, the new normal for Marvel Studios, right? If I were Marvel, I'd be sweating about Thunderbolts right now. And the thing is, I think Thunderbolts looks great. I'm really excited for Thunderbolts. I am. I think it's going to be dope. However, Thunderbolts is also a movie that relies on Disney Plus. Thunderbolts is also a lesser known property. Thunderbolts might operate pretty close to the level of Brave New World. I think at this point, if there's good word of mouth and if the marketing budget's, doing its thing and people actually end up getting excited for it, I would expect Thunderbolts to actually do better than Captain America Brave New World. But here's the question. How much better? Are we talking about 500-600 million worldwide? Are we talking about 700 million worldwide? Are we talking about 800 million worldwide? And then you start to think about this, right? And you start to think about Captain America Brave New World, maybe not, I would say almost guaranteed to not hit 500 million. All of a sudden you have the Thunderbolts movie. Oh shit, what if that only gets like 5 or 6? Uh-oh. And then you got Fantastic Four. Now, Fantastic Four is tracking much better, and that trailer got a ton of views, and I think people are excited about it. It has a couple aces up its sleeve with like Galactus, Franklin Richards, Silver Surfer, and RDJ Dr. Doom. So I think Fantastic Four will probably be fine, and it's going to get the summer boost from San Diego. But like, look, we're talking about Captain America Brave New World. Is this the new normal for Marvel? I don't think so, but unfortunately, it might seem like it after Thunderbolts. Because Thunderbolts also has that Phase 4 energy. Thunderbolts feels like that movie that was created when Marvel thought they could get away with murder. They could do anything. They could slap the Marvel logo with any obscure character, any team you've never heard of, and it would do well. Well, that's just proven to not be correct. And potentially there are other big problems with fatigue, with what Disney Plus did to the brand. Like Marvel might be, I guess what I'm saying is I'm ultimately kind of circling around one idea. Basically, there's a lot of people right now thinking that it's really bad for Marvel, that this might be a terrible year for Marvel. And by the way, if Fantastic Four also underperforms and you have 3 Marvel movies that are like averaging 600 million, I would say, yeah, that's a bad year for Marvel, especially when they're trying to get to Doomsday. You know what I mean? That would be really, really rough. And so there's this big question right now because of Brave New World. And it literally is Brave New World's fault. Like Marvel, you got to realize this is all because you put this movie out. Ultimately, that's what's creating this narrative and this conversation. So it's like, you know, maybe think about that. But this question is this the new norm for Marvel? Is Marvel kind of cooked? You know what I mean? Like, is Marvel kind of cooked? Are they going to just make kind of meandering movies? Is it never going to get back to where it is? And it just doesn't feel good that, like, we currently have a Marvel movie in the box office that, although is number 1, has, like, just so much negativity tied around its performance, the conversation about the movie, et cetera, et cetera. So what does this mean for Sam Wilson? What does this mean for Marvel Studios? I said this before. I think we're still at this place. I need to see what they do with Sam in Doomsday. Sam is going to be Captain America in Doomsday. We're not getting around that. They're not going to change that. After Doomsday, maybe that's up for discussion. You know, after Secret Wars, maybe that's up for discussion. But as far as for the next few movies, he's going to be Captain America, okay? So Sam is Captain America. I need to see what he does in Doomsday. I want to see how it feels. How does he act? How does he just operate as Cap in more of an actual Avengers setting? That'll be interesting. And maybe if it's really good and people like it, you could do more with him. However, if people still really don't like Mackie as Cap after Doomsday, I'm not saying they should completely get rid of Mackie, but why would you focus on Mackie as Captain America if the audience is just plainly not responding to it? You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's ultimately the question. Why would you continue to do this? Like, are they really going to crank out Captain America 5 and 6 with Anthony Mackie? Are they going to do Avengers movies with Anthony Mackie? I don't know, brother. I don't know about that. So I think it's going to be determined by what happens in Doomsday. How does the audience feel about it? And frankly, we're going to find out a lot in the next couple of years. Marvel has a lot to decide. They have a lot to sort of see as far as how the audience is responding to different things. What are going to be the response to these big Avengers movies? What are the takeaways? And then they have X-Men, you know? And it's like, okay, you have X-Men, you have all these really exciting things, more popular things. If the canceling of the shows that we talked about on Friday, if that has to do with them really pivoting more into X-Men and going with more popular characters or franchises, I don't really see a place for Sam Wilson as Captain America within that conversation. Do you know what I'm saying? So, look, if you were a big fan of Sam as Cap, and I know that there are people that are. I've seen them in the chat. I've seen them in the Discord. I've seen them on social media. It's all good if you really like him, man. It's all good. But the reality is, man, if you were a big fan of Sam as Cap, you wanted this movie to do a lot better. And you're going to need Doomsday to do well. And you're going to need Mackie to be awesome in Doomsday. Otherwise, it might be over. Might be one and done for Sam as Cap. And look, as far as I'm concerned, I think any and everything should be on the table. It's show business. It's not show friends. So, like, I could potentially see them even recasting Steve Rogers, just going back to Steve. Maybe bring Evans back, you know, and just do Steve. I'm not really sure. But, you know, I'd say that's on the table. Like, you cannot just have Anthony Mackie be Captain America if it's not doing anything really for the fan base, if it's not moving merchandise, if it's not selling movie tickets. What are we doing? So I think a lot of conversations will probably be had behind the scenes about this. It's going to be up to Doomsday. As far as the future with Marvel, it's the same thing we've been talking about. They are luckily about to release Daredevil Born Again, which seems like a huge win. But to be fair, we have to see what Daredevil actually pulls in. because Daredevil Born Again will be sort of a big test for the brand. I mean, look, all the same things that are going wrong for Marvel that we take into account when we talk about Brave New World, all of those things are still going wrong with regards to Daredevil as well, right? I mean, the show went over one of the most crazy creative overhauls we've ever seen in television. So obviously, like, the studio's going through some stuff. They were going through stuff when they made this movie. They were going through stuff when they made Daredevil. The audience is going through stuff, right? So it's going to be fascinating. Like, will the audience just turn around and respond very positively to Daredevil? We're about to see. We're about to find out. But Marvel, I think, frankly, they just need to keep their head down, put out bangers, and really, like, I don't know how many more movies like Brave New World they can get away with, frankly. I don't know that Brave New World is actually worse than Quantumania. I don't know that it's actually worse than Love and Thunder, or Secret Invasion or whatever. I don't know that it's actually worse, but I think one thing we can't deny is that the fans are more ready than ever to say that it is, to shit on it, to hate it, to be angry. Like, fans, I think if the fan base right now, if we were where we're at right now with the fan base, when Love and Thunder came out, I feel like that movie would have bombed. I don't think it would have even made 500, and I think people would have been freaking out. Okay? So a little bit of death by 1,000 cuts for the Marvel fandom and the Marvel brand. And unfortunately, I do think Captain America Brave New World is a few of those cuts. Okay? Now, can we talk about Hideo just for a second? Kojima made some comments. Let me see if I can actually pull them up. Let me see if I can actually pull these up. I'm sure you guys saw this, right? It went viral. For some reason, I can't seem to find it on his actual page, though. Maybe, oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Okay. So, I feel like I need to give context here because a lot of people seemingly don't know who Hideo is. A lot of people can't even pronounce a man's goddamn name. And it's just been wild watching the fan base respond to this review. So, a couple of different things you need to know about Hideo Kojima. Incredible storyteller, incredible artist, did all sorts of incredible video games, a lot of work in the Metal Gear series, made the Death Stranding game. He's kind of like out on his own, making insane, wild-ass games. I think the truth is, Hideo just has good taste. He's a cool guy. He's been relevant in pop culture for a long time. He also is a big fan of pop culture and brings a lot of other pop culture things into even like his games. And so people just like think he's a real chill dude. Now, he sort of started blowing up with his reviews a couple of years back because it's always fascinating when you see like an icon of like gaming and storytelling in general. Like, you got to understand, this guy's like the GOAT, man. Some people think he's like one of the greatest creators of video games ever. Just a brilliant storytelling individual. And it's always cool when you see like an icon of a certain industry comment on a different industry. Like when George R.R. Martin talks about Marvel movies or when Brandon Sanderson talks about Marvel shows. I always like that kind of stuff. Now, Hideo, he started doing these reviews of pop culture things. And the one thing that became like super apparent, because look, he's Japanese and the Japanese have this thing in their culture where even if they're being rude, they're kind of trying to be respectful at the same time. And so one of the things that people started to notice about Hideo's reviews was if he has a lot to say, it's usually very positive, and the analysis that he gives is so insightful and so cool, and like you can really get into the head of how he views these things, and sometimes he'll give you commentary that you didn't even think about, and it's really, really interesting. So if he gives you a big review, it's usually very positive. Sometimes he gives very short reviews, and that means he absolutely hated it. And so you can start to see that the shorter the review is, the less he likes the thing. And I've seen some pretty short reviews from Kojima when he talks about these different movie shows, etc., etc. Okay? So with that context in mind, for those of you that don't even know how to pronounce his name, it says here, this is his tweet. He says, I watched Captain America Brave New World in IMAX. I vaguely remember Sam receiving the shield in Endgame, but when did he officially become Cap? Is it because I haven't seen The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And what's this about the Avengers being reorganized? And I'm also getting it mixed up with the Thunderbolts trailer. So 2 things you can tell right away here. Number 1, he did not like this shit. Not because of anything he said, but because of how much he said. This is the most respectful version of, that shit sucked ass. That's basically what it is. You got to speak Kojima to understand it, but he's basically like, this shit sucked ass. Now, more to the point, he's pointing out a specific issue that he had with the movie. And that is that because he doesn't really watch the Disney Plus things, and because he's not really aware of what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he found himself confused and couldn't just get into the story. Don't you see? I vaguely remember him getting the shield in Endgame, but when did he officially become Cap? Was it because I didn't watch that show? What's this about the Avengers being reorganized? I'm getting it mixed up with the Thunderbolts trailer. Kojima is telling you, as a huge nerd, as a person that loves good stories and loves Marvel and likes pop culture, he went to IMAX and he was confused. He also was kind of telling he didn't like it, just by the length of the review. Now, here's what happened. This shit went viral. Now, why did this shit go viral? Couple of reasons. Number 1, it's Hideo. People love Hideo, man. If you don't get it, you don't get it. People love Hideo. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, people love to shit on Marvel and Disney right now. Let's just be real. That is what it is. Huge market for that out there. If you're going to be negative about Disney or Marvel, you're going to get a lot of retweets. You're going to get a lot of likes. He's just going to tell you how it is. And then other people then would blow it up. So I think that's part of why it blew up, right? 8 million views, 75,000 likes, over 4,000 bookmarks, almost 5,000 retweets. So this thing went absolutely viral. Okay? Now, unfortunately, I saw a lot of Marvel fans being really rude, really angry, and frankly cringe as hell with the way that they responded to this. Like a lot of people being like, are you even a Marvel fan? You didn't watch the Disney Plus shows, so you don't know things about Marvel, but you're going to see Marvel movies, all these different things. I saw people saying like, oh, this guy thinks he's an influencer now, and all these different takes. All of your takes are garbage. You're being ridiculous, and you're making the fandom look bad, bro. Like, you are straight up making the fandom look bad. To any single person out there that is retweeting this or engaging with this tweet from Hideo, and you're basically being like, nah, he doesn't even like a blah, 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 blah. You're making us look bad. Hideo's fucking cool. People like him. People like his reviews. If he has something to say, people are going to engage with it. And here's the other thing that's like really crazy. He's right, dude. He's right. Bro, I watched all that Marvel shit. You know what it did for me? Make me like Marvel less. And I'm a big Marvel fan. Okay? I'd actually probably feel better about Marvel if I didn't watch all of that shit. However, what Hideo is pointing out here is that even if you don't watch all that shit, it's still a mess. It's still confusing as hell. He doesn't even know, like, what's the deal with the Avengers? I'm getting it mixed up with the Thunderbolts. Guys, this is just what a regular-ass dude who's also inclined to like nerdy shit, likes good storytelling, and obviously liked a lot of the Infinity Saga. That's what he's trying to let you know. He's like, your shit is whack. It's confusing as fuck. I'm damn sure not watching those shows. What the hell is going on here? Like, guys, it's just really frustrating for me to watch this happen, for him to get out there and do this, and to watch all these different Marvel fans in these accounts engage with them in a way that I think is super cringe and completely out of touch, and you're missing the point. The point is, he's telling you at least part of the problem right to your face. It's confusing. And frankly, I think most of us can acknowledge that the Disney Plus shows, like, look at this down here, man. This comment here by Mark says, like James Gunn said, cinematic universe should not allow people to do their homework when they have to go to the movies. Yeah, by the way, he stole that from me. 10,000 likes. Whimsical Wizard says, exactly. Isn't a Captain America movie? That's not just a Captain America movie. The fact is you have to watch Incredible Hulk, Falcon series, Eternals just to understand who and what is going on in the story is insane. It's too much of an ask for general audiences. 6,000 likes. I thought I saw one in here that had like 16,000 likes. Maybe they deleted it, but it was essentially talking about how, yeah, Disney Plus ruined this shit. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, dude. Like, I think at this time, when Marvel is stumbling and they're having all these issues, and frankly, Captain America is bringing a lot of these issues to the forefront and to bear, this tweet and the reaction to it was fascinating. And so I wanted to bring it up on the show because, number one, I think he's right. Number two, I think he's bringing something up that maybe we take for granted. And that's like, bro, people aren't going to watch these shows. And people will watch the trailers, but they're not going to necessarily investigate them in the way they used to. And so if it just feels confusing, they will be confused. And the craziest part is, part of the juice for the original Marvel Infinity Saga was the fact that it felt like a television show done with movies. Everybody was watching the movies. Very easy to follow where things were going. Very easy to follow the characters. Very easy to follow the world. That was the magic formula. I truly think the Disney Plus shows absolutely destroyed that paradigm. They have destroyed the ability for casual audiences to just be able to get in here and enjoy this shit. So, I don't know. I guess rant over, tangent over, but I had to bring that up. The Hideo thing, man, it's just wild to me. It's wild watching everybody respond to it. And so in general, now, look, we talked about Captain America, second weekend, box office drop, not good. What does it mean for Marvel? I don't know. It's not good. And then Hideo coming out and basically saying like, yo, your shit's whack. I'm not watching all those shows. Wild. Very interested to know what y'all think about that. Now, let's move on. Couple of good things. We've got good things in the world too, okay? We've got stuff going on that's good. So give me 1 second here. Let me pull this shit up for you. We have very recently spoken about some beef between Marvel Studios and Rob Liefeld. Okay? So Rob Liefeld was very vocal about how much he felt disrespected by Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios surrounding his experience with Deadpool and the Deadpool and Wolverine character. Okay? It was well documented. Literally, Rob said, I'm not working at Marvel anymore because Kevin Feige wouldn't invite me to his after party or some shit like that. Like, that's basically like what it comes down to. Now, Rob has other grievances with Marvel pertaining to creators' rights, creator visibility. He believes that, it should have said created by Rob Liefeld, Deadpool, like at the beginning of the movie. These are his beliefs, etc., etc. And the thing is, we watched this go down, and a lot of us were like, damn, this doesn't feel good. Feels kind of bad. I like Rob Liefeld. I like the work that he's done with Marvel. I think he's a rock star. It kind of sucks that Marvel Studios and Rob Liefeld can't figure it out and just get together. Well, all of a sudden this story comes out, and it's kind of out of nowhere, but it has to do with the Rob Liefeld stuff. Oh, sorry. Probably the most awkward pause ever in podcasting history. I just had to do a double sneeze. Listen, point is, we have this story come out. Paul Jenkins, the creator of Sentry, confirmed that not only was he involved in the Thunderbolts movie, but if there's ever going to be a project that's a Sentry film, he's going to write it. So let's watch what he said here. This was in a pretty cool podcast. I watched a bit of it.
It's very cool to have my work. And one thing I will say is that I have a contract, at least with Marvel, that if there's a Sentry movie, I write it. Right? So that's good news. So I worked on the Thunderbolts movie. I actually consulted on the Thunderbolts. I was able to give them the insights into the character. It's gonna be interesting to see if it came out the way I wanted to, but I think there's some elements of it that are good. But as you can see from the trailer, the Sentry and the Void appear to be in the movie, so that's pretty cool. It's very
Okay, so really interesting. He's talking about like how it is that to have Sentry adapted, etc. He has a lot of other stuff going on too. If you watch the full podcast, he gives context of the fact that Sam Raimi had used one of his stories in comics that's centered around the Green Goblin, and that was utilized for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. He talks about how in the Hulk movie, the hulked out dogs, that's something that he created in a different story, and he was involved in that. He says that he worked on Thunderbolts. He consulted on the Thunderbolts movie. That's absolutely incredible. He also says he has a contract with Marvel that if they ever make a Sentry movie, he has to write it. Now, what that probably means is he has like something close to a first look deal, which means if Marvel Studios says, okay, we want to make a Sentry movie. Okay, well then all of a sudden, boom, this contract kicks in. They have to allow Paul the option to write a script. I don't think they have to use it. Like, I don't know what his contract is, et cetera, et cetera. But if it's like a first look deal, it's probably basically like they have to look at his script first, and then they can either use it or go to somebody else. But they have to give him the option, and they probably have to pay him for it too, to write the script. So that's like one side of this, and that's cool. But the other thing that's really interesting is like, dude, my man worked on the Thunderbolts movie, and you could see in the interview here, he's like, we'll see if they actually listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see if they actually listen to me. But I did consult. I gave them insights to the character, and I tried to help them understand him. Talking about Sentry, talking about Bob, okay? So that's fascinating here. Now, there's another aspect of this that's wild. It has to do with Charles Soule. Okay, now Daredevil Born Again is about to come out. We're all really excited about it. Charles Soule, I believe, consulted with Marvel Studios on Daredevil Born Again. He sort of spoke to this at a Comic-Con. He used legal language because Charles Soule's actually a lawyer too. He used some language that couldn't get him into trouble, but essentially he spoke to the fact that that may or may not have happened, which I think means it did. We'll probably find out more about this after the actual show comes out. This is because the Muse character is from Charles Soule's all new, all different Daredevil run, right? And so I guess what I'm saying here is like, look, this seems like a huge W that Paul Jenkins was involved in Sentry. This, by the way, was not something that Marvel put out. This was done on like a very small podcast. The guy was very enthusiastic. He was cool, but this was a small channel. This was a small podcast. And shout out to Paul, too, for doing over an hour and a half of content with this guy who's just a small podcaster. I thought that was really cool. The point I'm making is this was not something that Marvel put out and was like, oh, this blows up. Like, hopefully people like this. This would be really cool. No, this is rather just what actually happened and how they were operating with regards to the Sentry, the character, and the creator's rights and the involvement of Paul himself. Okay? So what I'm saying is we're getting some evidence here that Marvel can play nice with comic book creators. They seem to have played pretty nice with Paul Jenkins. He seems to have a pretty good deal, pretty good contract. He literally consulted and worked, and I hope was paid for his work on Thunderbolts. Charles Soule seems to have a good relationship with Marvel, seems to have adapted, or rather seems to have had his stuff adapted, had some kind of good relationship with them, consulted, etc. He's still writing Daredevil, by the way. Charles Soule, a little side note here. Charles Soule is about to write a book where Daredevil is 60 years old. And I can't help but think that has something to do with maybe a new friendship with Charlie Cox and some conversations about an old man Daredevil and how that would give Charlie career longevity. Regardless of all that, my point is, how's it come that certain Marvel writers and creators seem to be able to have a good relationship with Marvel Studios, seem to be able to play nice and even help with the process? What's the difference between that and what happened with Rob Liefeld. Do you know what I mean? And the thing that's wild about this is like Marvel, again, did not create this story. They did not like tell Paul, like, hey, go out there and tell people we, did right by you with this movie or whatever. No, that's just like what seems to have happened. I think it's a great piece of news. And I think, especially considering the Liefeld thing, they should actually lean into this and be like, no, look, we do treat people right, But I guess I just wanted to bring it up with you guys because if you're a Sentry fan, this is great. Oh my God. If you're a big fan of the Sentry, and I know we've got some in the community, if you're a big fan of Sentry, this is dope as hell, man. He's actually helped. He's consulted. He gets first crack at a script if they make it. That's awesome. Okay, so that's like the first part of the news. Number two, though, just as a Marvel fan, this has got to feel good. And it's like, yo, they do seem to be able to work with creators. They do seem to be able to respect creators. So the story that Rob Liefeld put out is just not a complete story. I'm not saying that his story is not true, and I bet it is. But there has to be something different with the Rob Liefeld thing as compared to the Paul Jenkins thing, as compared to the Charles Soule thing. Okay? So I don't know. I wish we had more answers. I wish we knew more clearly what was going on. And I would just suggest to Marvel that this whole situation could actually be turned into something great. Like, what if you really did let Paul write a Sentry script, pay him for it, maybe take some of the ideas, get some other people on it or whatever, and why not use that? Because that's cool. By the way, you could have him come back and write a comic book story. Tie it into the movie or something. Like, I just don't understand, and maybe it's just like corporate structure and legalese and contracting and everything, right? But I just don't understand, like, even when we talked about the Liefeld thing, right? I was like, you know what they need to do? They need to go to Rob Liefeld. They need to make it right no matter what. You need to literally get Liefeld back at Marvel. I would literally court him and do whatever he needed. I would pamper him. I would make him feel incredible. I would get him to come back to Marvel, write a Deadpool story. That story and that book would probably pop off, be exciting. You're going to make more Daredevil movies. You want Rob Liefeld as a microphone for you. You want him out there as an ambassador for the brand, hyping fans up about the movie. So what's the deal? Like, just make this right. And it feels like they were able to make it right with Paul. It feels like they were able to make it right with Charles. I think they need to make it right with every single one of these creators. Because I think it would just be good. It would be good for the fans. It'd be good for the comic book genre. It's just overall really feel good story. So I wanted to bring this up because I think it's dope. And I think it kind of, it's an important story considering the Liefeld stuff that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So I'll let you kind of think about it. Let that simmer in your old brain. And then we'll probably bring it up again in Q&A, okay? But I got one more big Marvel story before we get into the Q&A, okay? I got one more big Marvel story for y'all today. You will remember, of course, that last week, late in the week, probably Friday, we spoke about crazy Spider-Man 4 rumors. Okay? Now, one of the things was they're bringing in an A-list celebrity or some high-profile celebrity to be the villain of Spider-Man 4. And we talked about why that's kind of crazy. Suggests maybe a new villain. Suggests some wild shit going on. Probably not Noel, probably not Mephisto, probably something else. They're cooking something else. There was another scoop which said that Spider-Man 4 was going through a tonal shift, much like Thor Ragnarok took the Thor character into a different direction. That's what they want to do with Spider-Man 4. Now, we all got kind of excited about that. We speculated on what it could mean. We were like, dude, that's really interesting. A new take for Spider-Man, a new vibe for Spider-Man. What could it be? Was it dark before? Is it going to get darker? Is it going to get more lighthearted? What's the deal, right? Well, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming from an account called The Redacted Guy or Redacted Spider. And I don't know who this dude is, but apparently he's a somebody. He's followed by a bunch of scoopers and insiders. And a lot of people brought this up to me and said this is real. Okay? So again, I don't know who this guy is, but a lot of people are telling me this guy's legit. So I'm going to start following this guy. I'll make sure that we keep tabs on him to make sure that he's accurate, et cetera, et cetera. But check this out, okay? What I'm hearing. Point of inspiration for Spider-Man 4 is indeed the Batman. We're talking about the hockey pad wearing Robert Pattinson Batman, which, by the way, I don't really like that movie, but hold that thought, put a pin in that. While the Homecoming trilogy was more lighthearted and optimistic, Destin and Marvel will lean into that anger. Expect more grit and more focus on hand-to-hand combat with no multiverse villains. The film will still lead into Secret Wars, but the current priority at Marvel is making a grounded and more mature direction for the webhead after the events of No Way Home and Brave New World. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. That is pretty dope. So let's break it down like a fraction. They're suggesting here that the tone of the other saga was optimistic and lighthearted. First of all, do you agree with that? I think a lot of you probably do. I, on Friday, had suggested that I actually thought the Spider-Man trilogy was dark, right? I was like, oh, dude, no. Like, I actually think it's pretty dark, whatever. But all of you were like, no. Here's the thing. I see where you guys are at because tonally, they're not dark. They deal with some dark material, and there's some very heavy and dark scenes, but I totally understand where you're coming from. I don't think I would be able to categorize the tone of the overall movies as dark when it comes to, like, Spider-Man, Far From Home, No Way Home, Homecoming, and all them, right? So it seems like they're going to shift it, and they're going to be a lot more dark. Now, when they say the Batman, oh man, this gets really crazy. This gets really interesting. It ties into some other rumors that we've heard, okay? So more grit, more focus on hand-to-hand combat with no multiversal villains. Man, I got to tell you, a couple of things. I was working on a big video for Daredevil, which is either going to drop tonight or early tomorrow. Okay, I got a big old Daredevil video out there. It's about the creative overhaul and basically how this show is about to save Marvel. They've never done anything like this. It's insanity, okay? One of the things I talked about in that video was the action. And I was like, man, the action in Daredevil looks incredible. And I started to think about the action in like Phase 4 and Phase 5. And a lot of it just loses. I don't even want to necessarily say it loses its grounded nature, but it almost loses all scope of reality. And therefore, it can't be like badass. So maybe it's just like people flinging spells at each other, floating on giant cranes in CGI sky. Maybe it's like Sam literally fighting a Red Hulk with like a suit of vibranium that seems to have all the things needed to affect the Red Hulk. Maybe it's in Ant-Man and Quantumania, just these giant CGI people punching all these little CGI spaceships and stuff like that. Like, it loses its scale completely. I remember in a lot of the Infinity Saga, even when it got crazy, because it was scaled to like human things, that like helped it be insane. I remember when Bucky flips that motorcycle around, or when he uses the stairs as he pulls it out of the wall to help him descend through the stairwell, like these kind of things, which take like regular stuff and sets and environments that we interact with all the time and does crazy superhero stuff with them, right? So to me, I'm really excited for like more grit, a focus on hand-to-hand combat. Hopefully he has to fight against somebody that's incredibly strong, because otherwise he's just going to punch the shit out of this person and destroy them, right? So I really like this idea of grit, hand-to-hand combat. I mean, you've got Destin, who was the Shang-Chi guy, and the combat in Shang-Chi is absolutely incredible. So seeing some of that stuff, hell yeah. Like, that seems really cool. Now, let's talk about this Batman thing. The thing that's interesting about this Batman rumor is that this was a rumor that had existed before, and it reminds me of some of the stuff that Alex Perez had said on the Cosmic Circus, where he had implied that the spell that made everybody forget about Peter Parker was also making Spider-Man, making Tom Holland himself forget about Peter Parker. And so therefore, like, all he really was Spider-Man, but without the human element of Peter Parker. Spider-Man began to sort of lose himself and kind of forget who he is and become dark. That's a little bit kind of like what happens with Batman, because Bruce Wayne completely disappears and he just is Batman all the time, and he's totally obsessed. His mental health completely erodes, right? So that's an old rumor. You start to think about that rumor and Doomsday and Doctor Doom and the symbiote suit, right? Which, of course, like, you have the symbiote suit traditionally in the movies and even in the comics. The symbiote suit pulls out your darker side. You know, it kind of turned Peter a little darker, a little bit more aggressive, a little not like himself. It reminds me of the Suit of Sorrows. If you're familiar in the Batman mythos, there's a thing called the Suit of Sorrows. Azrael Batman uses the Suit of Sorrows. It gives you all this crazy power, but it kind of like turns you bad, turns you into a bad person, right? So I think we might be getting a version of Bully Maguire and the dark turn that, of course, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man took with the Venom symbiote, but probably done with less camp and a lot more seriousness. Now, another thing that I think is cool about this is if you have the Batman vibes and it's really gritty and it's really grounded and it's just like in New York on this new Earth or whatever, eventually that movie will turn into like cosmic multiversal stuff and it will head in the direction of Secret Wars. That's likely going to be accomplished via Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. They'll probably come into the picture, and especially Tobey will be like, Peter, I've messed with this symbiote stuff before. You don't want to do that. You don't want no part of that, Dewey. Get out of here. Don't do it. Andrew might be like, one time I wasn't pulling my punches. I heard a bunch of people, don't go down the path that I'm going down, or that I went down. Peter won. Don't do it. You know, that kind of energy, that kind of character stuff. And I think that's cool. So I do have a little bit of trouble fitting this in with some of the other rumors and some of the other stuff that we've talked about. But we've heard they're kind of reworking the script. They have a lot of different ideas. If this ends up being real, I like it. I think this is a good direction for Spider-Man. It's also a direction they can continue to explore after the soft reboot, because they're going to set some stuff up here. College years for Peter, etc. That like cast will probably still be around after Secret Wars, and so maybe we see it continue on after that. So I don't know. For me, man, this is good vibes. Like, this is really good vibes, and with a black suited Spider-Man, and here's the other thing that's really, really interesting about this: black suit Spider-Man. He's going darker, forgetting who he is. Crazy hand-to-hand combat, a lot of grit, maturity, right? Well, all of a sudden, DC and their plans with Batman, I mean, how are they going to compete? You know, like, how are they going to be able to compete? I don't know. It's all of a sudden, Feige's stealing that swag. All of a sudden, I'm feeling a little bit more of that white Suge Knight energy, where he comes in and kind of steals the swag, does it better, and sets Marvel up for a massive freaking win. So that's the news with regards to Spider-Man 4 and the tonal shift. Pretty crazy, man. Wonder what you think about that. Excited to hear what you think when we get into the Q&A portion of the show. Okay, look, I see a bunch of people in chat, and it's actually a little fortuitous here because we just finished up... We just finished up all the news bits here. Apparently, an Andor Season 2 trailer just dropped. So should we react to this Andor Season 2 trailer? And I can let you know my thoughts about it and all that. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds, okay? Oh, wow. It's got some rock and roll music. That's terrible to hear. Okay, let's do this dance. Let me get it pulled up. Hang on now. Let's get this pulled up. So here we go. We're going to do my first reaction to the new Andor Season 2 trailer. I famously or infamously, depending on who you ask, did not like Andor Season 1. I'm a big-time Andor Season 1 hater, but I have said I'm willing to give Season 2 a shot. I've heard they've changed it. It's going to be more like Star Wars, so maybe it'll be more like stuff I like. Here we go. Let's watch this trailer. 1:35. Turn it off. I hate it already. I can't believe that music is in here. That's not my Star Wars. Hashtag not my Star Wars. Okay, let's keep going.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? Last night I had a dream that the world had turned around.
Bro, what is this fucking music, dude?
All our hopes have come to be. The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
Dude, no, this can't be real, bro. This shit cannot be real. This has got to be some joke, some kind of meme. This is some kind of trick, dude. There ain't no fucking way this is the real Season 2 trailer. No, dude, I hate everything about this. I hate this so much. Oh, you got to be kidding me. This is so bad. I feel like I need to tweet about it. Hang on now, everybody. There ain't no way. There ain't no way. Oh my God, dude. Hang on. Oh, this is so bad. Okay, wow. I just have to rage tweet about that and blurb about this. Guys, I cannot believe that this is actually the trailer that Lucasfilm put out. Like, frankly, it just feels like they want to lose at this point. This feels ridiculous to me. Because the show, like, here's why. Let me just tell you the TLDR of why I absolutely hate this. By the way, they spent over $600 million on this, Season 1 and Season 2. Okay, so it's like a 675 or something like that. It's almost like $700 million to do these two seasons. Literally, like, nobody watched the first season. The whole idea that I had going into Season 2 was, oh, they'll change it. They'll make it a lot more like Star Wars, and they're gonna actually get Star Wars fans to be excited about it. And it's so crazy because this trailer feels like the furthest thing from Star Wars. The look of the actors, the performance, the corniness, the cheesiness. What the hell is like the Gore Bella guy? Fuck, we've got Saw Gerrera acting like not Saw Gerrera, just already in the trailer in full display. You got Krennic not acting like Krennic. You've got, like, what is this, dude? This shit is goddamn ridiculous. Let's watch it again. Absolutely hate the music choice. Hate it so much.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win?
The first season of Andor was hailed by critics everywhere. Yeah, and like 12 people that watched it. Like, what is this self-aggrandizing trailer? Do they think this is going to work? It seems like what they want to do is present something that's like, oh, actually, Star Wars can be something completely not Star Wars and super mature and clean and listen to this cool rock music. By the way, critics said it was fucking amazing.
Last night a dream.
Like, what is that cut with the needle drop? What is this? Like, just Saw Gerrera is this like a fucking Coen Brothers movie? Like, what are we doing?
Last night a dream.
Last Night in Dream?
That the world had
The Rap? The Rap? We got a quote from The Rap. Emotional, thrilling, and exciting.
the world had turned.
What is this, dude? Some goofy-ass Weird Al Yankovic music video?
All our hopes.
What's this? What's this now? Confident and sophisticated. Yeah, you know what I love about Star Wars? The fact that it's confident and sophisticated.
All our hopes had come to be. The revolution.
What's this now? They're doing it so short because they don't really want you to read it. They just want you to assume that a lot of really important people are saying really good shit about it. Truly phenomenal storytelling, says The fucking Verge.
Revolution starts now.
Oh, dude, I love it when the non-diegetic music that has nothing to do with the world or the characters or the vibes of the actual universe are synced perfectly to really cool moments where they blow up shit as they walk away.
What a swell party this is.
A prestige drama with searing action and Emmy-worthy performances as you watch in super slow, agonizing detail where really important-looking spaceships slowly point towards the sky. The critically acclaimed series.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
The hell, man? Why is he acting like he's in a Kevin Hart movie? Like, what is happening? Ah, that smile, though, saves the whole trailer. Yeah, it's going to be great. Dude, what the fuck? Oh, my God. Come on, Star Wars. No. 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 Okay, let's go to the polls. Maybe I'm out on a limb here. Maybe nobody feels the same way that I do. Maybe Star Wars is now for you guys and not for me. Let's see. I don't even know what to say. How did you feel about this Andor Season 2 trailer? Let's see. Let's see. Am I crazy? I could not have predicted that they would make a trailer that would annoy me specifically more. Like, I really thought we were about to get a better season 2 trailer. Man, somebody put a Borg gullet in my ear hole because I'm done with these memories, man. Can somebody Borg gullet this trailer out of my brain? Holy. Like, how? Come on, man. No. 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 I'm frankly really disappointed. I'm kind of shocked. I think that's a terrible trailer. I think it's uniquely terrible, meaning it it literally reinforces some of the worst parts of the first season. Mainly, it's not Star Wars. This is absurd. Wow. I am shocked to the point that I almost can't believe this is real. This feels like somebody took the show and crafted the most uniquely offensive trailer possible for me exactly. This is some kind of simulation. Somebody restart the game, take the cartridge out, and blow on it or something. This is insanity. I'm shocked. I need... Wow, wow, wee wah. Well, how about that for a trailer reaction, you know? How about that? You think that was a reaction? Did I have a reaction to it? It's man. It's I gotta say, man, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at the poll results too. So I'll spell this out for you guys. Now look, it's only like just over 200 people. Could radically change if more people get in here. But for now, 12% of people loved it. 13% of people liked it. 23% of people say meh, and over 50% of people say that they hated it. Like me. I mean, I think this might have been such a bad trailer that even like the crazy ass Star Wars fans that like literally anything might even be like, what is this? What are we doing here? Like, bro, I kind of can't believe it. I kind of can't believe it, man. Oh, man. That is wild. Oh, man. Oh, I think it's so bad. Oh, chat. I'm having a reaction. I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to figure out how to keep going. How do we continue this show? How do I continue to carry this stream? How do I don't even know. Also, I've been ignoring Twitch this whole time. Sorry, I'll get you pulled up, Twitch. Twitch, I'm gonna look at what you're saying, and you just tell me right now. Did any of you like that trailer? Did you guys like that trailer? Tell me right now, Twitch. There was a psycho here? Oh, that's tough. Breaking DC news? Okay, well, thank God we got some breaking DC news. That'll help me out. All right, what's the breaking DC news? Holy, I'm in shock, man. I don't see the DC news. Can anybody send that to me? DC Studios invited me to a secret movie where I had oh my God, Brandon Davis got invited to the secret movie. I mean, I guess good for you. What's the news though? Does anybody have it? Teen Titans movie in the works. Okay. That's good. That's good, I guess. Is that it? Is that the big DC news, guys? Wait a minute. There's somebody on Twitch that's trying to cope about the box office for Brave New World. Please stop. Just let it go, man. Just stop, please. Robert Pattinson will not be the DCU Batman. Oh yeah, is that confirmed? Wow. Robert Pattinson will not be the DCU Batman. The Brave and the Bold has a writer and is in heavy active development. Everybody knows I love Batman. It's important to me, so I'm working. Okay, so we got a whole Hollywood Reporter article here. Should we just go over this and then get into Q&A? Bro, this article's so long, man. Let's just wait for the headlines. Yeah, so they're saying they're talking about the Brave and the Bold script, referring to Muschietti while also strongly implying the filmmaker is not involved in the project's development. That's weird. Gunn went so far as to say that he was now the driving force of the title. Oh, Jesus. He says, everybody knows I love Batman, and it's important to me, so I'm working very closely with the writer on Brave and the Bold, he said. Okay. He said, so, yeah, the official thing is he pours cold water on Pattinson in the DCU. Huh. Wow. That is interesting. I think that's kind of an L. I'm not going to lie. I think it's kind of an L, but also it would depend completely on what this new Batman does, right? Because I love Grant Morrison's Batman. I love Damian Wayne. They could do some cool shit with him. And if they do, I'll probably be on board. I don't even really love Pattinson's Batman, just being honest. But I know a lot of people do. So that's wild. That is wild. Wow. Crazy. Okay, well, you know what, guys? I think we should probably just break into Q&A. It seems like there's going to be a lot of questions. Maybe some more stuff will come out. You guys will have more comments, etc., etc. So let's just start getting into ye old Q&A here. And we will break down your comments, member chats, super chats, etc. And then we'll get into the chat as well. Does that sound okay? Does that sound okay, guys? How will you ever like anything if you are not so negative all the time? Oh, man, that's crazy. There's a lot of stuff I like, brother. I like Invincible right now. I'm really enjoying Severance right now. I absolutely love Warhammer and a lot of fun stuff with Warhammer that I like. I like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm very excited about Daredevil Born Again. I think it's going to be great. I'm actually really excited for Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I'm excited about. Yeah. Cantina Talk says Mackie jinxed Brave New World with that March comment. LMAO. What was the March comment? I didn't see that. I mean, I know he said Captain America is not American or whatever, and that was pretty wild. What's the March comment? Benjamin says, just here to beat Rossi, and you did, sir. And you did. And Cantina Talks in with a rose. Appreciate it. Javier Mendez with a 10 spot. Says, hot take, Charlie Cox's Daredevil is better than Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Chat, remember, I love you guys. I actually 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. And I'm trying not to give everything away in the video because I have a really in-depth Daredevil video coming out for you soon. But Charlie Cox and Vincent, these are not just guys that are great in the roles, but they were really a big part of the creative overhaul, getting Marvel to listen. It's fascinating. So, look, we have some of these actors that are really good at playing their character, but also they're really smart, they're really savvy, they're involved in the process. So Ryan Reynolds is a good example. Tom Hiddleston is an example, although maybe less so with Tom. You look at Ryan, he's literally producing, he's writing, he's like really, really involved. Tom is a producer on Loki, and I think they listen to him, but it's not quite the same, right? And then you look at Charlie Cox, and I think he's similar in the sense that Charlie is very, very good in the role, but also was really involved in some of the stuff that happened during the retooling, and he had advice and he had things that he wanted, and at first Marvel was kind of resistant to some of those things, and they eventually listened to him. So, dude, I think Charlie Cox, not only is he the perfect Daredevil, and unlike Hugh Jackman, he's the right height and everything for Daredevil, right? I love Hugh Jackman, but he's still too big for Wolverine. Yeah, he's one of the greats. Incredible. Cantina Talk says, yo, Josh, ordered a Nerdventure hoodie back in December. Any idea on the ETA from the merch purchases? Did you order it through Teespring? You'd have to get your order information to me, and I could look into it. But, yeah, we don't really do any of that. It's through, like, Teespring. So you have to check it out. Let me know, though, because I can hit him up and be like, yo, one of my people did not get a hoodie or whatever. So let me know. Mariana says, Josh, do you want to come on my podcast to talk about nerdy stuff? I mean, here's the thing. I'll tell you this. Do I want to? Yeah. But there's like a million things that I want to do. I cannot. So I will just tell you right now, definitely cannot come on your podcast. I can barely manage to get all the videos out and the streams done. And I'm also building a podcast with Nerd of the Rings and Warhammer. I'm very, very busy. So, unfortunately, I have to decline the offer. Thank you, though. It's good to see you. Matt Doggy82 says, can you make it clear when Phase 5 starts? Quantumania. Quantumania. The start of Phase 5. And I remember we were all like, oh, dude, Phase 5 is going to be so different. We're kicking off with Quantumania. Oh, hell yeah. Jonathan Majors. Yeah, that didn't go so well. Aaliyah says, I agree that things look good for Marvel regardless. If the new normal, though, budgets need to be adjusted, except Avengers films. Quality must improve, too. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, I don't think this is the new normal, and I think Marvel has a lot of things coming that are going to be much better, and they can kind of get back into stride. But it's sort of a shame that Brave New World was, in my opinion, pretty bad, but also you just take opinion out of it. It divided audiences. It clearly has the worst cinema score out of any MCU fan. So it didn't get the audiences going. You could see that in the box office. If this movie was lighting it up, we would be talking about that. It's not. So that sucks. Yeah, I know. Diamond Badge PML Podcast is the name. Available on Spotify, IG. Much love, Josh. Hey, I really appreciate you, Mariana. I have to decline. Christian says, hey, Josh, what's your opinion on Marvel doing a little 5-10 minute recap before the movies? I feel like it would help the casuals. Ooh. Maybe there's a way to do it that's not so obvious, because I feel like that's just going to turn them into actual television episodes. I think Marvel, and maybe they're considering this as they move into the Mutant Saga. I mean, dude, there's just so much that went wrong in Phase 4 and 5. You know, I think they picked the wrong characters. I think they did weird projects. I think obviously they got hit with a lot of creative shakeups. You know, the pandemic delayed a bunch of stuff, and then they shuffled and they tried to, you know, fix it. But ultimately, going into the Mutant Saga, keep it a lot more simple. I don't think any of the Disney Plus shows, like, basically, they should never, ever have Hideo Kojima mixed up like that again. It should just be very easy to follow, and whatever the next story is should be pretty easy to follow. Disney Plus should act as, like, an enhancer, but it should not be required in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's what I think they should do. Zach says, happy Nerdiversary. One more year of Nerdvention down and many more to go. I wanted to say how much I appreciate you, Josh, and I appreciate all of you in the community. I'll watch this after work. Zach, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. And a year, that's a long time, brother. Thanks for supporting for so long. That's dope. Mehana Al-Miami says, first time catching a live since 2020. Too bad I got a dip, though. Working the night shift tonight. Warhammer rocks. Star Wars is in shambles. Cap Force sucks. Hype for Thunderbolts. Can't wait for Doom. My man. Hey, it's good to see you. Thanks for popping in, man. Hope you catch some of this on the replay or maybe on the podcast feed. And, yeah, dude, with Doomsday around the corner, things are about to get crazy again for us Nerd Avengers. So hopefully we could see more in the streams. Cantina Talk says, I spoke with him at MegaCon. He said he worked on it and that he was really proud of the work they have done for Born Again and Muse. Oh, that's sick. See, I kind of knew but I didn't talk to him directly, so that's great, man. I'm glad you're talking about Charles Soule there, right? That is awesome. That's a good thing. And again, it's like weird. Look, I like Rob Liefeld. You know what I mean? But I feel a responsibility to just sort of report as objectively as I can and just tell you what I see. I'm not like team Rob Liefeld, and I'm not anti-Marvel. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to cover all of this, and sometimes it gets a little tricky. Sometimes we don't know all the ins and the outs, but I thought it was important to highlight the Paul Jenkins situation, the Charles Soule situation, and just be like, I don't know what happened with Rob. Hopefully they can fix it. But there's evidence that Marvel doesn't just screw over comic creators, that they've been able to work with a few of them. They've been able to make them feel good. They're compensated. They have good contracts. So it's not like they're just this totally horrible corporation that's taking advantage of all these writers. The Vitamin Dealer says, doesn't Hollywood not like to work with book writers and comic book writers because of the union obligation reasons? I think I heard that somewhere. I've heard similar things. I've also heard that part of it's just a philosophy that, like, we'll take it from here. That, like, Hollywood considers themselves to be the pinnacle of how pop culture actually reaches people and how stories actually reach people. And so in a lot of ways, they're always like, oh, that's nice that you had such a popular book, but this is the movies. We'll take it from here. Or it's like, oh, that's nice that you had such a popular comic, but this is Hollywood. We'll take it from here. So I've heard some similar things. I don't know if it has to do with the unions, because a lot of these people could get like a WGA card. If you're a writer, you can get a WGA card. You know, if you're a comic book writer, your shit's being adapted. I don't know. Seems like you could do it. JJ Limon says, Rob Liefeld was on a panel this weekend with Kirkman and Kevin Smith. I was expecting Rob to light the MCU up, but he was pretty complimentary. Yeah, so again, that's interesting, right? I think Rob is trying to use his status as a creator to fight for what he views as fair creator rights and perhaps for change at Marvel Studios. I also think he has a personal vendetta against Kevin Feige, probably just because of his own personal experiences and then not being acknowledged by him at the premiere or whatever, right? You know, I think Rob said something like, get Feige off the mound. He's lost his fastball with regards to Brave New World. I don't believe that shit at all. Now, I will tell you, hell yeah, Marvel needs to change a lot of shit. I'm not even convinced that it's Kevin Feige's fault that a lot of this shit is happening. Didn't Nate Moore get fired for this movie before it even came out? So I'm just not ready to say like, oh yeah, no, it's all Feige. It's a culture problem. Feige created all this horrible shit. What's the difference with Paul Jenkins? What's the difference with Charles Soule? Why are some of them able to work within the system and some are not, right? Just important to kind of keep it all out there. But in regards to what you're saying, JJ Limon, I would expect that Rob publicly front-facing will probably be like play pretty nice with Marvel. And eventually I think he'll be back in the Marvel family. That's what I think. Aaliyah says, Marvel might have presumed that Reynolds is all they needed for Deadpool MA/hype, yet with that lawsuit hurting Reynolds' reputation now, Liefeld is needed. You know, I don't even think it's that deep. Like, look, is there maybe some person that believes that? Sure. But is that like the company line? No. Like, there's no way that Marvel is like, we don't need Rob Liefeld. We have Ryan Reynolds. And then they watch the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing, and they're like, actually, we need Rob Liefeld a little bit, actually. No. I mean, it's cool. It's kind of an interesting thought, right? But there's no way Marvel's like basically an online gossip girl. You know what I mean? Frostromorph says, I never catch these live because I work at nights, but I wanted to say I really appreciate you breaking down the different types of writers last Thursday. Recently started film school, so I found it very interesting. Oh, that's great, man. Yeah. Writing's a big part of my life. You know, I have this big story, this big comic book Unity. I know it's delayed. I know everybody's really mad about it, but it's awesome. We're working on it. Writing is a passion of mine. In fact, chat, let me tell you, I do this every so often. I don't know if any of you guys do this. If you're a writer, you probably do. Every so often, and I mean like probably at least once a year, at least once a year, I sit down and start writing a Star Wars movie. And I started doing it again. And, man, got some cool ideas. Like, it almost shocks me that Star Wars can't just figure it out. Because I feel like, I don't know. I almost want to say it's not even hard. Read it? Well, I won't read it to you, but I could do an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch. The whole movie starts with, like, a dad and son smuggling crew. They're coming into Coruscant, and their cargo this time is 2 Jedi. And Coruscant's like super locked down, and the Jedi are like being hunted, and you can't be a Jedi. It's like, it's really bad. And so this father-son crew with like some droids and whatnot smuggle some Jedi onto Coruscant. There's like a crazy dark side. And this is like 1,000 years into the future. It's past all the canon stuff. It's completely isolated, although it will connect to the Skywalkers. But essentially like a father-son crew. They smuggle some Jedi into Coruscant. The Jedi then go steal something from the Empire. The father-son crew end up entangled. The dad dies. And then the kid is taken with the Jedi off-world, and we begin our adventure. Something like that. You know? Something like that. And just kind of like thinking of it, because there's like a very specific vibe, with the crawl and the opening music, and then you kind of like get into the movie, and it's usually a ship, right? Like it's either a ship coming down, a ship coming up, or we're going into a planet or something like that. Yeah, I was like, oh, this could be fun. This could be cool. Yeah. Damn sure cooler than Andor. Holy, bro. Okay, let's keep going here, though. Leonard says, so do we get either Shang-Chi or Daredevil training Spider-Man? That would be awesome if Destin does that. Let's fucking go. That would be really cool. I just don't know that that's going to be a part of it. Now, this happens in comics. There's a part where Peter loses his Spidey senses. And then I believe it's Iron Fist. Maybe it's Shang-Chi that trains him to like use his chi and like awareness in the way that like a ninja or one of those characters would. But I don't think that's what you're going to get. I think, look, you also have to remember Spider-Man 4 takes place after Doomsday. So whatever happens in Doomsday, that's going to end. And then probably you're looking at a new universe. Within that universe, Spider-Man in the black suit, losing himself, really, really dark, Batman vibes. That's really cool. But I just don't know that we have time to have like Daredevil training him or Shang-Chi training, especially if he has the symbiote suit. If he has the symbiote suit, he doesn't need trained by anybody. Except maybe Venom. The Sink Lord says, Bucky was great in Winter Soldier. People always glaze Tom Hardy for his Bane acting with his eyes. Never praise Sebastian for his acting with what he did in the eyes. That's true. That's actually a fair point. Bucky and Sebastian did incredible work in those movies. I Don't Like Sand says, Winter Bomb recently said Moon Knight will return, but not in a TV show. No season 2. Do you think this hint confirms a Midnight Suns movie? Yeah, probably, yeah. I think they will utilize him in the Midnight Suns. Apparently, they just lost a writer for the Midnight Suns movie, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. Mav says, is Matthew McConaughey in this season of Andor? It kind of seems like he is, huh? Tylen Zarast says, what was the music? That is not the Force. Not good versus evil. Not love and family. Not redemption. This ain't Star Wars. Love you, Josh. Yeah, I mean, I feel very strongly that is true. It's not Star Wars. It doesn't represent anything that I think Star Wars represents. I actually kind of forgot about the trailer for a little bit here, and it was fantastic. You've now reminded me of it again, so I'm back to being in a bad mood. But yeah, you're right. Joey says, can you imagine rock music in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon? Yeah, if I wanted it to like suck ass, yeah, I can imagine it. Baldy1 Kenobi says, yeah, when did James Gunn start doing Star Wars? It's funny because that's actually true. Like, James Gunn is known for his needle drops and his crazy not soundtracks. Yeah, is it soundtrack? There's one that's like the theme, it's diegetic music, and then the other one's like needle drops, non-diegetic music. Yeah, one's a soundtrack. One's like the score, I guess, huh? No. Maverick Pilgrim says, it's like putting hip-hop in a Gladiator trailer. I know, but even that made a little bit more sense. It's not like Gladiator had a 60-year-long tradition of a specific person that made specific music that absolutely carried the franchise for like 40-plus years. Anyway, Furious Liquid says, I am praying that they put rock music in the Ahsoka trailer. I will die. No, I will die. I will die. Holy, bro. Let's hear it. Andrea says, fire KK now. She ruined my birthday with that music. Hey, happy birthday. Andreas, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Here's a Andor. Happy birthday. Here's some rock music. Happy birthday, Star Wars Dead. Happy birthday. Emo Joe says, like, imagine if they played Black Betty on the slow-mo of Dumbledore falling to his death. This was worse. Dude, I agree. Is everybody finally seeing my point about Andor? Does everybody finally agree? Does everybody finally agree about Andor? Have we broken through? Did this trailer do the opposite of what Lucasfilm wanted and actually instead reveal the truth of how much of a flailing, out of touch, certainly not Star Wars project the first season was, and seemingly the second season as well? Holy. John Cross says, Lucasfilm woke up and chose violence today with Josh. I think the action looks way better than season 1, though. Yeah, the action looks okay. I can't, like, get into it because it's not Star Wars. Ginseng says, DCU making animated shows of Starfire and Green Lantern. Also, Gunn confirmed that he and Snyder took the photo because they thought it would be funny. Well, his sense of humor has really gotten him far in life, so far be it for me to take shots at it, but he's a juvenile. Let's leave it there. Endless Abyss says, one way for Disney to redeem themselves is to adapt Shadows of the Empire into live-action film or series. What do you think? I think that would be great as long as you have some crazy rock ballad playing, you know? So you got Shadows of the Empire and stuff like that. And then you've just got some hair metals, like maybe Dr. Feelgood. He's the one that comes Dr. Feelgood. He's the one that makes feel all right, you know? Some Motley Crue. Shockwave Lab says, hey, Josh, do you think of the new Batman look for the comic relaunching this year? They went with the original gray, blue, black color scheme. Yeah, I think that's cool. It's crazy that Matt Fraction is writing that. I'm certainly going to check it out, at least the first couple issues and see how it goes. But hell yeah, man, it looks cool. Looks cool. Cantina Talk says, DM'd you on Discord with Brave New World, Mackie, and Order. Thank you. Oh, okay, I'll check that out, man. Appreciate you. Jay Morris says, just crashed out at work over that music video of a trailer is truly impressive. How much brand damage has she done to Star Wars? Mon Mothma dancing in 2025? Exactly what I wanted. Star Wars is dead. Bro, right? I think it's trash, dude. I think this trailer is trash. I got to tweet about it again. Okay, how about this? I'm not trying to gatekeep, but if you like that Andor trailer, you need to get out of the fandom immediately. They say the perfect tweet doesn't exist. Let's see how much pearl clutching we get from that one. Okay, let's keep going here. Tim O'Brien says, that music choice in the trailer, vomiting face, vomiting face, vomiting face. What even was that? Modern Lucasfilm is even more out of touch than I thought. I'd like the trailer without. I'd like my life without Disney Star Wars. Vessel says, oh my God, I didn't even notice. I just made it there too. Long live the Nerdvengers. Oh, hell yeah. Cola says, Marvel lost me when Sam Raimi put out Doctor Strange and he didn't even watch WandaVision. Now, seeing the Hulk lose the power of love, like, come on, man. Look, I agree with you. Some of that stuff is whack. For sure. Hopefully it's going to get better from here. But we'll just see. I mean, you got Thunderbolts, you got Fantastic Four, and you got Doomsday coming out. I think they're going to turn it around. But I get you, man. There's been a lot of whack stuff happening. Faux show. Callisto says, I'm sad you had to see that trailer. I love Andor, but that was embarrassing. Yeah, dude. Thank you, Callisto. Because that shit sucked. That put me in a real sour mood, dude. Frost Morph says, wrote a Star Wars script when Boba dropped. Unfortunately, it resembled Acolyte so much, except it doesn't mess with the lore. I considered scrapping it, decided not to pursue it until I finish film school. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. You know, there's all sorts of options. You could do a fan film. You could do a little fan fiction thing. Just put it out there. You just put it out on the YouTube video or out on Twitter. There's a lot of ways to get that out there, you know? So we shall see. Aaliyah says, DC news out today, deadline article, pretty much an update of the first presser. They claim Brave New World is still a go. Reeves Batman as well. Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. I'm sure there will be some details shared today. So other people will talk about it, maybe give us some insight into what it is. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Because I'm still kind of reeling from that Andor trailer. Vandolph the Black says, hey, bro, you love those Rebel Moon trailers with the rock and roll. What happened? I'm kidding. This is a disaster, and I hate Andor more than before. Oh, my God. I know, right? Yeah, I mean, look. I know you're being facetious, but I'll explain it anyway. One of them was a brand new IP that was, well, we didn't know what it was. The other is a 40-plus-year-old iconic piece of IP that had a specific type of music and a specific vibe and feel for damn near 40 years. One of these things is not like the other. You know? So it's wild. A Namor movie? I don't know, brother. I mean, Namor's okay. I don't think we need a Namor movie. Namor's cool, though. He's way cooler in comics, though. What they did with Namor, or Namor, in the MCU is lame. Flame. Namor's way cooler in the comics, dude. Way more jacked, way more cooler, way more of a dick face, way more of a womanizer. Yeah. Just he's awesome. I'm not saying being a womanizer is awesome. I'm saying he is one, and he happens to also be an awesome character. It is what it is. New Ray movie trailer, Disturbed. Dude, that would be nuts. I mean, at this point, I halfway expect it. I halfway expect it, dude. They also announced their release plans: 2 live-action movies a year, 1 animated movie a year, 2 live-action series a year, and an animated show, and Authority is in purgatory. Bro, they ain't doing all that. They ain't doing all that. 2 live-action movies and 1 animated movie a year? Yeah, we'll fucking see. 2 live-action series a year? Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know about that. Robert Pattinson will not be the DCU Batman. I know that is true. It seems to be true, and that's pretty interesting. Namor is cooler in Rivals over the MCU. Yeah, you actually can see a lot of that. It seems like a lot of the Rivals characters have way more aura, and they're way cooler than the MCU. I think part of this just has to do with, like, the only goal for Rivals is to take the most awesome, badass elements of the character and put them on display. So, like, Rivals isn't trying to, like, reinvent the wheel. They're not thinking in terms of like Disney sensibilities and all these different things. They're just like, dude, gamers want to do dope shit. Let's pick some dope Marvel characters. What makes them dope? Oh, okay, this, that, second, and the third. How do we put that into the gameplay? How do we put that into the model? How do we put that into the voice lines? And that's all. So it's just crazy because, like, dude, look, Rivals is blowing up right now, which, by the way, small thing that I thought was pretty funny. I did see Rob Liefeld tweet that Marvel Rivals has sold over 40 million copies, which I thought was so fucking hilarious because it didn't sell a single copy. The game's free. The game's free, Rob. But, I mean, it obviously has a lot of people playing it, and a lot of people are spending money on it, right? But, I thought that was funny, dude. He's like, it's sold over 40 million copies. I'm like, damn, that's a lot. I wonder how much money they made off that, you know? Yeah. Rivals is cooking. Everybody knows that. Even boomers like Rob Liefeld know that Marvel Rivals is cooking. It's doing stuff that the MCU is currently not doing. And I think there's a big lesson there, man. I think they just need to realize, like, it seems like Marvel can just be fun and it can be sexy, right? Think about all the thirst traps and all the jokes, the memes with Marvel. It can be sexy. It can be fun. That's really all you need, dude. Like, stop trying to make it into something different. You got a perfect catalog. You got all these awesome characters. Like, just do those, like, in the movies and shit, man. Come on now. Come on now. You know what I mean? All right, everybody, look. I think we're going to call it there. Kaiju says, who's getting a solo movie first, Namor or Sentry? Probably neither. Leon says, 1 more month till 2 years, baby. Hope everything is good and well with everyone and the little ones. Oh, thanks, man. We're doing good over here. I mean, it's challenging for sure, man. You know, 2 kids, a lot to deal with. Toddler, newborn. And I kind of act like a toddler and a newborn sometimes. My poor wife, you know. But yeah, we're doing good over here, man. Appreciate you, Leon. Okay, everybody. I think we're going to call the stream there. Okay? It was a good stream. Went over some fire topics. A lot of interesting stuff out there. I'm not going to lie. The stream completely went off the rails when I watched the Andor Season 2 trailer. I'm not in a good place. That has really shaken me to my core. So we got a little off the rails in the back half of the show. I do apologize for that. We have a lot to discuss tomorrow. We'll probably talk about how people have received the Andor trailer. I want to see what the fan base is saying. I want to see if anybody gets triggered by me on Twitter. Okay? We'll probably talk more about the DCU news tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some more context, other people filling in some of the gaps, etc., etc. And who knows, maybe even more crazy news will drop. So we'll go over that all tomorrow. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for being here as always. I hope you enjoyed being filled in on all this stuff. I hope you were entertained. I hope you had a good time. I will see you tomorrow. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Bro, no, I can't believe it. I cannot believe that trailer. What? I'm shook. I'm flabbergasted. Oh man, why it's gotta be like this? Why is it gotta be like this? All right. Well, shit. It is what it is. hey, it is what it is. And what it is more Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars goobly glob. I kind of can't believe it. But also, I can kind of believe it. So, I guess I'm going to go try to chill out. I'll go check the discourse online. And then I guess, I mean, I'm not doing no watch parties for this shit. I'll tell you that. Wow. What a first impression. What a first impression. All right. Okay. All right. I'll stop. Painting stream? Dude, I would love to, Adam. Like, trust me. I would, like, dude, I would love to, bro. But I told the wife no more extra streams until we get a little bit more set up over here. You know what I mean? Once we get a little bit flowing and we're all chill over here, maybe I can do painting streams. But, yes. All right, everybody. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Much love, man. Big video coming out later today. We'll be back at it tomorrow at 11. I'm sure we're going to have a ton of really fun, really interesting things to discuss, okay? You make sure you do me a favor, man. Open up that third eye and wash out your stinky butthole.